If you have a flexi band, that may be useful. And if you don't have it, that's okay. So we're going to start seated. And once you're seated, bring your hands behind you and bring your feet out so that they're in a little bit of a V. So my teacher, Molly Kitchen, calls this chillin' at the beach posture. So you're just kind of hanging out, and then drop your knees to one side. So these are windshield wipers, which we often do. And then drop your knees to the other side. Then bring them up. This time, drop your knees to the left. So once your knees are down, pause there and check out your left knee. So your left hip is going to be in external rotation. So if you think about your femur, which is this big long bone here, it's going to be rotating outwards. So we call that external rotation. And your right hip is going to be an internal rotation. So that bone is going to be rolling in. And just notice, like, how does that feel in your body? It may not look the way it does in mine. We all have different shaped and sized anatomy. So the way that we all fit together is slightly or quite a bit different. And so then do a few of these windshield wipers from side to side, just noticing how it feels in your body. You can move at your own pace. So if you like holding it, if it feels good to stay there for a while, you can stay there for a while. If it feels good to move more quickly, you can move more quickly. And as you're cleaning your windshield this way, you may notice that your butt kind of walks you forward. Feel free to just scoot yourself back each time you get to a point where you're like, whoa, moving a little off my mat or moving too far away from my starting position. And when you're ready, you can bring yourself back to a neutral position and stretch your legs out long in a V shape. So you're straightening your legs out. And you can be sitting as upright or kind of slouched as you want, but take a peek at your legs here. Flex your feet and point your toes upwards, like directly up towards the ceiling. So now your hips are in a pretty neutral position. See if you can externally rotate them. So roll them outward. And that might not be a big movement. You might not notice much. You don't have to force anything, but just notice the extent of external rotation that is available to you with your particular anatomy. And then roll your hips inward. So I don't have very much internal rotation. And you might be able to see that my feet are almost straight up. So that's what it looks like for me. Just notice what it's like for you. And then try that a few times, externally rotating and internally rotating. So rolling out, rolling in. And again, you don't have to force anything. You don't have to go further than feels comfortable in your body, but just notice what has to engage as you're doing this movement. So you might even bring your hands to your hips and see if you can feel anything moving, engaging. Like I can feel muscles here and along the side for sure. And then you can release that and just kind of like jiggle your legs and maybe flop them gently and bring them a little closer together. And just notice what that feels like. As you're ready, bring the soles of your feet together for Baddha Konasana. So see if you can sit up pretty tall here. Place the soles of your feet together and allow your knees to come out to the side. So in this posture, your hips are also externally rotated. So bring a little bit of active engagement to pressing your feet together. You can have your hands with fingertips on the ground or palms on the ground, however long your arms are. And see if you can sit up tall. Notice if you can feel anything through your outer hip, maybe through your inner thighs. And then depending on how much space you feel like you have today, maybe you start to fold forward, as long as that doesn't mean like overly rounding through your back or feeling like you're uncomfortable or trying to force anything. And if you decide to fold forward, you can do anything you want with your hands. I always tend to interlace my fingers and wrap them around my toes, but you could have hands on the ground, hands on your ankles, whatever feels right. And you might check in with your breath here. So find a position here that feels sustainable and has a degree of comfort for you. Maybe take a super deep inhale and sigh it out through your mouth. Maybe do that a few times. So, if possible, breathing in through your nose and then sighing it out through your mouth. And then you can return to your natural breath, but maybe consider breathing pretty deeply. So, without forcing anything, can you take full breaths? If you're folded forward, come on back up. And just for a moment, find a position to sit in that is comfortable, no matter what it is. So we'll do like a little check-in. If you want to prop your hips up on a cushion or a block or something to help make yourself a little more comfortable, or whatever works for you, go ahead. And you can have your hands anywhere you like. If it's comfortable to close your eyes, if you feel okay doing that, you can close your eyes. Otherwise, maybe you just rest your gaze on the ground in front of you. And just take a moment to notice, how are you feeling today? So we've done a couple of movements, and depending on how your morning is going, just notice what kind of energy you have. Notice how your mind is feeling, what kind of thoughts are going through your head. Are there a lot of thoughts? Are they kind of racing around? Or is your brain still kind of trying to wake up to the day? Whatever's true, no judgment, just notice what's there. And then how is your heart feeling? If it feels okay to you, you might take a hand and place it over your heart. And just again, without judgment, notice, what are you feeling? What are your emotions like today? And during practice, can you take all of these things into consideration? How you're feeling physically, mentally, emotionally, just overall, what kind of stuff is going on for you today? Can you take these into consideration and decide each time you move to stay present, noticing what is best for you and choosing accordingly? So Sometimes we think we have to push through things to do the most or do the hardest. And that's not always the best or kindest choice for us. So today, can you choose kindly? Can you really decide to take care of yourself? No matter what that means. If you have a hand over your heart, you can release that. If your eyes are closed, you can release that. And you might take a moment to just kind of slowly look from side to side, turning your neck, taking a peek around the room. Maybe do that a couple of times, noticing what's going on in your neck. And then maybe you drop your chin towards your chest and try a couple of little arcs with your chin, drawing it up towards one of your shoulders, back down, and up towards the other. And maybe draw a few of these arcs at your own pace. And then maybe you continue drawing the arcs, or maybe you decide to turn it into a circle. So you draw your chin up and over and down. Noticing, is your neck talking to you? Mine has a lot to say, some cracks and pops and static and all kinds of interesting noise. So definitely not going beyond where it feels comfortable for your neck, but just kind of checking in. And if you're going in circles, maybe you reverse the direction. And then bring your head back to neutral. Maybe take a deep inhale and sigh it out. And then as you're ready, make your way onto your back. And if you have a strap and a block, have those handy so you can grab them when you need them. And if you don't, no worries. You'll be pretending you have them. So once you're on your back, do anything that feels right. If you want to pull your knees into your chest, just take a moment or two to check in. How do you feel now that you're horizontal, lying down? What kind of movement would feel right? And then if it works for you, pull your knees into your chest. Give them a little gentle squeeze. See what that feels like. And then extend your left leg down onto the ground. So your right knee is in, left leg is down on the ground. What does that feel like? You might circle your right ankle a couple of times in both directions. And then as you're ready, lift that leg up towards the sky. So you can keep your left leg out straight, or if it feels better to you, you could bend that knee and place that foot on the floor. Just decide for yourself what's going to work better for you, what feels better. And then your right leg, pay attention to your right leg. Notice what you're feeling in that leg. You might flex and point that foot a few times, noticing, is there a stretch in the back of your leg? Do you feel anything in your foot? And then bring your foot into a flexed position. See how straight you can make your leg. Actively pull your leg towards your body. So press your left leg down, whether your leg is straight or bent with your foot on the floor. Press that leg into the ground and pull your right leg towards you, just using the strength of your leg and your core, your low body. And then bend that knee. Grab a strap if you have one, or a flexi band, or imagine you have one, and place the band underneath your foot, keeping hold of both ends of it. Bring your leg back up towards the sky. Flex your foot again. And using as much or as little resistance with your band or your imaginary band, as much or as little resistance as you like, pull your knee in towards your body and then press it back away from you. And then pull it in towards your body and press it away from you. And try out different angles each time you do this. You can move at your own pace. But you might press your leg across your body. You might press it away to the side. You might bring it really high up or really down low. And as you're doing this, see if you could possibly keep your hips pretty level on the ground. So rather than rolling over to one side or the other, can you feel the back of your hips pressing pretty evenly into the floor? Maybe do that 1 or 2 more times. And then release the band, set it aside. Bring your leg up again towards the ceiling. Flex your foot. And keeping your leg straight, see if you can bring your hip into external rotation. So you'll roll your femur in your hip socket, roll it outward. And then bring it into internal rotation, roll it inward. Try that a few times. Externally rotating and internally rotating. And notice how that feels. You might think about what it felt like earlier when we were sitting and doing this. And then you can bring that foot down and pull your left leg in. Extend your right leg out flat on the ground. Maybe give your left leg a little bit of a little tug with your hands, if that feels okay. And then as you're ready, extend your left leg up and decide if you want to keep your right leg straight or do you want to pull it in, pressing your foot into the ground. Your choice here. Same thing we did on the first side. So you might flex and point and flex and point that left foot. Does it feel different on this side or is it pretty similar? Next time your foot is flexed, keep it flexed and see if you can actively pull it closer to your body without using hands or a strap or anything. Press your right leg into the ground or your right foot into the ground and pull your left leg towards you. So imagine that if there were no resistance at all, you would be in a split here, possibly. And then release that. Bend your left leg. Grab your strap if you have one. And wrap that around the bottom of your left foot. Press your left leg up towards the sky. And again, using as much or as little resistance as you like, begin bending and straightening that leg, pressing it away from your body at different angles. Aiming to keep your hips pretty level on the ground. And noticing where you feel muscles engaging, what parts of your body need to work for this to happen. And of course, making kind choices. So if you start to press your leg away at one angle and it's like, ow, maybe don't do that angle. The next time your leg is bent, you can release the strap and set that aside. And then draw your leg back up, flex your foot, and try externally and internally rotating that leg. Just noticing how much movement is there. For me, it's really not very much. Notice what is working to make it happen. You might, again, bring a hand down to your hip and see if you can feel muscles engaging. And then when you're ready, you can drop that down and do anything you like here. Maybe you widen your feet out with your knees bent and try a few windshield wipers. Maybe you just rest. Maybe you stretch your legs out, whatever feels right. When you're ready, you can come back to a general lying position. Maybe pull your knees in towards your chest and rock from side to side for just a moment.